Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we will continue with the second poem for T.S. Eliot, and it will be the final because the ideas of T.S. Eliot are really difficult. I understand that, but at least you got an idea about him. This poem is titled The Hollow Men. The Hollow Men. There are many images for the hollow men similar to this image. You can look at these as empty, actually, from inside, just covered with the human beings' clothes, but from inside, you don't have the human beings themselves. Okay, we will see why. Okay, now for the hollow men, we will watch a video reading or reciting this poem for us, and then we will come back to for the summary of the poem, just main ideas. I'm not going through all the ideas because it's a long poem. And then we will discuss the themes together. Okay? Fine. Okay, so let's start.
The Hollow Men by T.S. Eliot. We are the hollow men. We are the stuffed men. Leaning together, headpiece filled with straw, alas. Our dried voices when we whisper together are quiet and meaningless, as wind in dry grass, or rats' feet over broken glass in our dry cellar. Shape without form, shade without color, paralyzed force, gesture without motion, those who have crossed with direct eyes to death's other kingdom, remember us, if at all, not as lost, violent souls, but only as the hollow men, the stuffed men. Eyes I dare not meet in dreams, in death's dream kingdom. These do not appear. There the eyes are, sunlight on a broken column. There is a tree swinging, and voices are, in the wind singing, more distant and more solemn than a fading star. Let me be no nearer in death's dream kingdom. Let me also wear such deliberate disguises, rat's coat, crow skin, crossed staves, in a field, behaving as the wind behaves, no nearer, not that final meeting in the twilight kingdom. This is the dead land. This is cactus land. Here the stone images are raised. Here they receive the supplication of a dead man's hand under the twinkle of a fading star. Is it like this in death's other kingdom, waking alone at the hour when we are trembling with tenderness? Lips that would kiss form prayers to broken stone. The eyes are not here. There are no eyes here. In this valley of dying stars, in this hollow valley, this broken jaw of our lost kingdoms, in this last of meeting places, we grope together and avoid speech, gathered on this beach of the tumid river, sightless unless the eyes reappear as the perpetual star, multifoliate rose of death's twilight kingdom, the hope only of empty men. Here we go round the prickly pear, prickly pear, prickly pear. Here we go round the prickly pear at 5 o'clock in the morning. Between the idea and the reality, between the motion and the act, falls the shadow, for thine is the kingdom. Between the conception and the creation, between the emotion and the response, falls the shadow. Life is very long. Between the desire and the spasm, between the potency and the existence, between the essence and the descent, falls the shadow, for thine is the kingdom. For thine is, life is, for thine is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. Not with a bang, but a whimper.
Wow, that was the scariest reciting I've ever heard. Wasn't that scary? Okay, fine. So let's start here. Just before we move to discuss, Mr. Curtis, he did a penny for the old guy. So these two lines are actually epigraphs, okay, and we will discuss them later, okay. But the poem itself, okay, starts here. This is number 1. It starts here. It is easy to understand if you read it because this is modern English. It's not old English, okay. And this is section 2, and we have section 3, section 4, and section 5, okay. Similar to the wasteland, it consists of 5 sections. Okay, now let's come to the summary of the Hollow Men. The Hollow Men describes a desolate world populated by empty, defeated people. إذن هي وصف لعالم فاضي أو متحلل، وفي ناس مهزومة وناس فارغة من داخلها، تشعر بالخواء في داخلها. Though the speaker describes these people as dead and the world they inhabit as the underworld, when he says death's twilight kingdom, the poem shouldn't be read simply as a description of life after death. So while he's describing for us the life of those people, he's taking us to the death's kingdom as if it's a dream. And he looks at those people and describes them as if they are the dead people in that actually death life, okay? Death kingdom, okay? So he is actually describing the real people in Europe. He's not talking about dead people, but he actually received or understood those people in Europe as being similar to the dead people. I think this is connected with his ideas in Brufrook and also in the wasteland. Fine. So it's also a reflection on the sorry state of European culture after the First World War. So that's why the people look like dead people, because of the sorrow, okay, or because of the sadness, because of the sorrow, and because of the horrible situation that the European culture experienced after the World War I, okay. The despair was so deep, الألم كان والحزن كان عميق جدا, that European culture itself is fading away into nothingness, as if everything in Europe was collapsing and disappearing because the people were sad, they were devastated with what happened for the young men, what happened for their country, and everything was destroyed. So as if Europe, the whole of Europe, was disappearing into nothingness. Nothingness اللي المقصود فيها العدمية هنا. Okay. Now the Hollow Men summary, the speaker, let's come to the ideas, but as I said, I summarized them. Okay. So the speaker declares that he is part of a group of empty people. So also the speaker, the persona, considers himself as part of this group of people. These people are stuffed perhaps like scarecrows. تعرفوا الفزعات شفتوها في الفيديو. At the beginning of the video you saw these scarecrows اللي هي فزعات الطيور, and lean against each other with their heads full of straw. يعني كان متخيلهم وكأنهم الناس اللي ماشيين هدول زي الفزعات وراسهم مليان قش وميلين على بعضهم. Their voices, يبقى this is their appearance. Now let's come to their voices. Their voices are so dried out that they can barely be heard, okay, when they whisper to each other. Okay, so their voices are difficult to hear, and it's like with the wind, as if it's dry murmurs with the wind. Okay, so to each other, and what they say is as meaningless. Okay, what they say is meaningless, which refers here to lacking of communication. The people are unable to communicate with each other, and if they communicate, they talk about meaningless things in life. Okay, so how meaningless? As the rustling of wind in dead grass. كصوت الرياح تمر عبر الحشيش الميت. ففي صوت حفيف للحشيش بيكون مع الرياح، حفيف يعني جاف. That's exactly the same as the voices of the people in Europe after the World War I. These men are bodies without definition, shadows without color, frozen strength, action without movement. وبكمل وصفه لهدول الرجال أو الناس. They are bodies without definition. يعني you can't define them, you can't recognize them. Similar to this picture at the beginning of our PowerPoint here. You look at them, you know from the shape that they could be men or human beings, but actually their definition is not clear for us. So they are with no definition. يعني definition as a human being. They are shadows without color. You saw them, just shadows, like shadows, because they were like isolated and alienated. They were not communicating with each other. So each one of them, it wasn't a real human being. It was a shadow walking on this land. Frozen strength. Okay, so even their power, their ability to act, their ability to do something and to induce something in this world is frozen. They can't do anything despite their power as a human being. Action without movement. So they want to act. There are many things to do. Do you remember Brufruk? There are many things to do, but they don't move towards doing that action. Those who've crossed over the other kingdom of the dead, looking straight ahead the whole time. Okay, الآن الناس اللي بيموتوا وبيروحوا على العالم الآخر ضلهم يتطلعوا أمامهم. Don't remember these hollow men. هو بحكي لهم وأنتوا رايحين ما تتذكروا إنه الرجال اللي ضلوا في عالم الحياة بعدكم. Okay, as lost angry spirits. أرواح غاضبة وضائعة إذا تذكرتونا. But rather as empty people. تذكروهم كناس فارغين لا يوجد شيء في داخلهم. As people stuffed. People stuffed metaphorically with straw. يعني لا فيهم إحساس ولا فيهم مشاعر ولا فيهم قدرة. No emotions, no feelings, no ability to work, no ability to do anything. They are desperate, they are frustrated. They have nothing inside them. Nothing here. We are talking about their power, their ability to act. So spiritually and physically inside them they are unable to do anything. So if you die, if you go to the other world, don't look back and think that those people you left have lost angry spirits, because if they are angry then they will act actually. Okay, but think of them as hollow men, empty people. Deep inside they have nothing and they are unable to do they are unable to do anything. Okay, fine. I will stop here and we will continue with the second video inshallah.